Part 4 of the conversation between Etsko, Schuitema and Armand Kruger on the care and growth leadership model.
My next question is, we've been talking about the human person in the context of work, but I know that the Schuitema model also has work and lessons for the person outside of the context of work. You want to talk about that, son?
We've spoken about these two variables, the horizontal, where you're looking at peer groups, and the vertical, where you're looking at relationship or command relationships, leadership relationships. And we said in both cases, you actually account for success or failure based on the intent of the individual to give. Now, if you therefore translate that into what you're saying to the individual who comes to work, as we're saying, act in anybody's interest but your own, which some people might find a rather distressing thought. But what we found, in other words, both these variables actually intersect at the level of the individual, and they actually are initially, for the individual, very challenging ideas. What we found, however, is that when people do this, when they act on the basis of the best interest of the other, and that doesn't matter where the other is, it could be at home, it could be in work, whatever, when they deliberately act in the best interest of the other, what gets cultivated over a period of time is, first of all, a sense of deep security. Secondly, a sense of happiness or fulfillment. Thirdly, a sense of real power. And fourthly, a sense that the world that you're in becomes your ally, is in a sense your benefactor, is on your side. Whereas when you construct your day-to-day engagement with the world around you on the basis of what you're trying to get from people, then in the first instance you stay insecure because the thing that you're getting sits in somebody else's hands, which means you have no power. Yeah. Also, you'd stay discontented for exactly the same reason, because the thing that's making you happy sits in somebody else's hand. Thirdly, you become really weak, because for exactly the same reason, the thing that you want sits in somebody else's hands, and you've got no power over what sits in the hands of somebody else. You've only got power over what sits in your own hands. And finally, you then end up in a world of conflict, because you're going, if you like, from dispute to dispute in order to get out of the world what you want. So, contrary to how it might seem, when you construct your day-to-day engagement on the basis of the intent to get stuff out of people, you actually turn the world that you're in into your enemy, and you become deeply insecure and unhappy. Whereas if you construct your day-to-day engagement with the intent to be of service to others, and the degree to which you make that unconditional is the degree to which you are deeply contented, deeply happy. You're not acting in anybody else's interest. You're acting in your own interest, actually.
And how does that close the loop to giving? So there's the one part to say that I am the source, I'm the initiator. On the other hand, there's the giving into the world for people. Is there a potential conflict there between the giving and the being self-sufficient?
You see, a person who roots their intent on what they're getting from the world has an experience of the world, that the world is opposite to them, and that they are separate. That's why they need to be self-sufficient. A person is here to give, incrementally starts cultivating an experience where the world spontaneously gives that person what they need and more. You know, in other words, the person who's yet to give does not experience the interest of the other and the interest of the self as opposites. The experience is me. When I'm acting in your interest, I'm actually acting in my own interest. It's not, because my interests and your interests are continuous. They're not discontinuous. Your interest isn't opposite to mine. How do I discover? I mean, when I'm comparatively immature, I have the experience that the interest of the other is opposite to the interests of the self. And I suffer that, because it means that I'm always in a hostile engagement with the world around me. But if I look at every other human being through the point of view of how can I be helpful to that person, and I then cultivate a sense of alliance, what happens is that the other spontaneously starts acting in my interest. And then I start to discover that my interests and your interests aren't opposite. They're the same. And that's a thing, a growing thing that happens as we mature. It's a growing experience. So in a sense, we start off our life as young adults feeling like we have to contend with the world. And we, hopefully by our middle, our middle adulthood, or sort of let's kind of middle age, we start to discover that we don't have to contend with the world because actually the world is our ally. And we only discover the world is our ally because we've acted in the interest of others